Willow just premiered on Disney Plus. Yay, more preaching. Exactly what we asked for. Another 8-hour class in 4K about the virtues of identity politics instead of story. You know, Disney a long time ago had original ideas. That's before they turned Mickey into a mascot for crybabies and needed trigger warnings to go along with their pacifiers and popcorn. But no worries. Smile, there's good news. Willow is going down like a lead balloon because people want to be entertained. They don't want to be lectured to, proving yet again the philosophy of get woke, go broke.
The fate of Terraslene may well rest on whether you succeed or fail.
I won't fail.
Studios who call their customers racist and sexist are 100% guaranteed to lose money. But when they demand that they join in on their cult-like celebrations and cheer them on, people are going to revolt. What's going on, everybody? I hope all of you are gearing up to have a phenomenal weekend, my friends. Willow is going to do wonders for Disney's bottom line and their cratering stock price and streaming losses, especially since it comes right on the heels of their projected $250 million box office bomb called Strange Worlds. You know, they released that animated feature over the Thanksgiving holidays. Imagine the parents going to the cinema with their kids, then having to face the fact that they had to talk to their 5-year-old about why you had two kids of the same sex falling in love.
You know, we were targeting Gen Z and millennials.
Our leadership over there has been so welcoming to my not at all secret gay agenda. And
maybe they wanted to reserve that conversation for when they were a little bit older, when they were teens, but the media doesn't care because the media views your opinion about Hollywood entertainment as being in the minority. And if that were the fact, then the Mouse House wouldn't have gotten mugged by reality and you wouldn't have had Bob Iger forced to give a speech, though his words are too little too late to stop the bleeding.
Many cast members had wished that Disney stayed out of politics. Will Disney stay out of making political statements?
I don't think when you are telling stories and attempting to be a good citizen of the world that that's political. Just not how I view it. Do I like the company being embroiled in controversy? Of course not. It can be distracting and it can have a negative impact on the company. And to the extent that I can work to kind of quiet things down, I'm going to do that.
So what Bobby Boy is saying right there is he wants to just quiet things down a little bit. He wants you to move along. Forget that Disney has had their foot in the culture wars from the beginning. Just forget about it. Really, Bob? The big surprise of Disney's Willow show. Queer romance is front and center. A decision creator, Jonathan Kasdan, says was just organic to creating the sequel. How come everything is organic at Disney, but everything looks the same? I mean, every single series and film is identical. It's like a pride parade in slow motion. And they're wondering how come their stock is cratering. Look, you're not creating entertainment for the majority. You're focusing on the minority of 3 to 5% and excluding everybody else. This was Willow. You know how many people had waited 30 to 35 years in order to see their friends return on the screen? I mean, who didn't want to see Willow, see what his magic he had learned, or learn how the world had evolved? This is a Lucasfilm cult classic. It didn't make a lot of money when it was out in cinema. But instead, you're trying to rope people into another Rainbow Agenda festival, a series that promises to save the world and put a lollipop in every child's mouth. And on top of that, you got the bad timing, which I think is kind of good news about Bob Iger's speech. You know, his video isn't going to age well.
I think that some of the subjects that have proven to be controversial as it relates to Disney have been branded political, and I don't necessarily believe they are.
So you think Disney's not political, Bob? Oh, really? Well, it seems like Willow's showrunner, your showrunner, differs with you.
Kind of conceiving this show on the set of Solo, and we knew we wanted this sort of dynamic of these 3 women at the center of the pilot, and you wouldn't know which one was Elora Danan. And we're like, well, we're going to need some redheads, and we're going to need some brilliant actresses, and we're going to need some diversity, and we want all these elements in the story.
Not political? Give me a break. You got half-baked clapper monkey Jonathan Kasdan, who's a poster boy for Adderall, singing to a different tune, and he's waiting for the other side of the duet, his Freckle Jesus activist Aaron Killerman, to join in the SJW chorus.
He also created a very safe space to be able to just talk about our characters and our background. And
you got her talking about safe spaces, and you got Kasdan talking about diversity and an alphabet soup romance in a kid's fantasy series. And that's not ideological. That's not political. Okay, go ahead. Pull the other one. I dare you.
We're not going to make everybody happy all the time, and we're not going to try to. And we're certainly not going to lessen our core values in order to make everybody happy all the time. So it's complicated, and there's a balance. And I at one point I said, we do what we believe is right.
Arrogant little turd, aren't you, Iger? For your information, this isn't 1980. It's 2022. Nobody cares if somebody's gay. Nobody cares what people do in the privacy of their own home, as long as you leave people's children out of it. And if you think that going and introducing identity politics into every production from the Mouse House is going to make you some sort of champion, you're dead wrong. All it says about you is that you're a soapbox lobbyist who's run out of ideas. See, Disney has forgotten how to have fun and make magic because they've spent too long leading the charge to transform Hollywood from a fun house into a flop house for Ivy League grads who turned out to be nothing but bobblehead beta males who lack the talent and skill to hack it in Tinseltown. And so when you put out a production that you know is going to fail, you infuse it with just a little bit of virtue signaling. So when people call it the crap that it is, you can go, how dare you? That's the truth.
Beyond the barrier.
Are you serious?
If Willow is going to continue to be the one we see on Disney Plus, the standard fare for Disney going forward, then Bobby, guess what? You better go cash your check before it bounces. But if the studio, if it wants to rebuild the brand that it burnt to the ground, then you're going to have to make movies and shows that bring in everyone. And if you're not political, it's going to be easy peasy lemon squeezy. That's all you got to do. According to producer Jonathan Kasdan, the decision to feature a lesbian romance front and center in the upcoming Disney Plus Willow sequel series was born out of the spirit of movie fantasy genre into a contemporary sound found in George Lucas's original film. Funny. I don't recall Warwick Davis, Val Kilmer, or Kilmer's wife at the time, Joanne Whalley, or anything else in the film that was either overt or covert and had a message about sex. It was simply a fantasy story in the classic style of like Labyrinth with David Bowie, or Legend with Tom Cruise, or The Never-Ending Story, or Time Bandits with Sean Connery, or Beastmaster. It was for young and old, where children could dream of grand adventures and parents could think when they were kids again. That was it. It was for all of us.
It's a movie that's remembered very fondly by a lot of people, though.
It is, still.
You find people say, Mad Mardigan.
Can't go through an airport without someone saying, peck, 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 peck. Yeah.
I mean, looking at us now, it's as if we've been remastered as well.
Nice.
Isn't it? Do you like what I did there?
Mm. Yes.
So the question is, should we believe Iger at his word? That he's not political? This is the man who started the whole DEI production phase and who began the woke agenda. Christopher Rufo seems to think so. This is an important shift. Iger is signaling that Disney is moderating its position in the culture war. As I've been saying for months, the conservative strategy was to damage Disney's brand, make the company pay a political price, and force the company to declare neutrality. So far, it appears that the strategy is working. I think Rufo is right. But if we want to ensure that the King Cheese Chaser doesn't force the Mouse House into a stealth mode and then try to sneak a few SJW shows by us, we're going to have to hold their feet to the fire. We're going to have to make sure that Disney goes cold turkey, that they break their addiction to virtue signaling productions. And to do that, we're going to have to continue shining a spotlight on. We're going to have to crank up the heat. Like my grandfather used to say when my grandmother and mother were out of earshot. Once you got their balls in a vice, you keep squeezing till they sound like your sister.
Oh, that is whack.
So you know we're going into the holiday season. If you found value in this video and you enjoyed it, push the subscribe button down below, share this video with everyone you know, and leave your thoughts in the comments down below. And remember that we never bow down, we never bend the knee, always forward.